Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Always?
Today, we're going to time travel, but with a twist. We're sticking to one date, November 17th.
Oh, interesting. So like a historical snapshot, seeing what all went down on that day.
Exactly. It's amazing what you find. Our main source, believe it or not, is a Wikipedia article in Arabic,
Uh-huh.
all about November 17th.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking global stuff right from the start.
Oh, yeah. Royal intrigues, scientific discoveries, even a connection to, well, the very beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic.
No way. Okay, you got to tell me more about that.
We will. But first, let's go way back. Ancient Rome. I mean, emperors, those guys had it tough, right? But two of them dying on the same date, November 17th. That's wild.
Which emperors are we talking about?
Valentinian I, that was in 375 AD, and then Leo II in 474 AD.
Yeah, those were definitely some turbulent times. Every time an emperor died, it threw the whole Roman Empire into chaos.
Big-time power vacuum. Yeah, especially with Valentinian. His death, it was so sudden, it really weakened the empire's defenses, left them vulnerable.
So right off the bat, we see November 17th tied to these major shifts in power. And speaking of power and rulers, let's hop over to Japan. 641 AD, Emperor Jomei, the 34th emperor, guess what? He also died on November 17th.
It really shows you how one date can hold significance for different cultures across, like, vast stretches of time.
Okay, now buckle up. This one's a doozy. 1558 England. Queen Mary I, she kicks the bucket on November 17th.
Queen Mary, wasn't she the one known as Bloody Mary?
That's her, but here's the thing. On that same day, her half-sister, Elizabeth I, becomes queen.
Whoa, talk about a power shift.
Yeah.
From Bloody Mary to Golden Age of Elizabeth.
And it all hinges on that one date. Mary, she was all about Catholicism, persecuted Protestants like crazy. But Elizabeth, she ushered in this era of like religious tolerance, exploration, art, everything flourished.
It's mind-boggling to think how different things might have been if that hadn't happened.
Right. Like, what if November 17th had just been another Tuesday?
England might be unrecognizable.
Okay, let's jump ahead a few centuries. November 17th, 1947. John Bardeen and Walter Brattain, they invent the transistor.
Okay, the transistor. Maybe not the most exciting thing to talk about, but it's the foundation for, well, pretty much everything digital. Computers, smartphones, everything. It's hard to overstate how huge that invention was.
Oh, absolutely. And to really drive the point home, remember the computer mouse?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Douglas Engelbart got the patent for that on, you guessed it, November 17th, 1970.
So we've got these two major tech breakthroughs, decades apart, both happening on the same date. And they're both, at their core, built on semiconductors. You know those tiny little materials that control electric current?
I vaguely remember those from, like, high school physics.
Well, those are the heart of the transistor. And by extension, they're the heart of modern electronics. It's almost like those guys tapped into some fundamental force, and boom, the world changes forever.
I am officially mind blown. All right, let's shift gears for a second. Talk about politics and revolutions. November 17th, 1989, the Velvet Revolution kicks off in Czechoslovakia.
What's amazing about that one is how peaceful it was. Protests, demonstrations. It was the people, the students and dissidents, who forced the communist government to just give up.
The power of the people.
Exactly.
So far, we've gone from emperors to inventors to revolutions, all on November 17th. And while we're on the topic of, well, political events, this date also saw the 1958 coup in Sudan and the start of those strategic arms limitation talks, the Salty talks, in 1969.
And unfortunately, the Luxor massacre in Egypt in 1997. You know, just goes to show, November 17th, it's like any other day. It's got its mix of progress and setbacks.
That's a really good point. Okay, let's bring things a little closer to home, maybe a little more recent. Remember the start of the COVID-19 pandemic?
How could we forget?
Well, get this. The very first known case, it's been traced back to this 55-year-old guy who visited a market in Wuhan, China on November 17th, 2019. Seriously. That's kind of eerie, isn't it? That something that became so global that affected everyone, it all started on that specific day.
It's wild. So we've got ancient Rome, we've got the digital age, we've got a global pandemic, all connected to November 17th. But wait, there's more. We've got a whole bunch of other stops on our journey through time.
And some pretty interesting folks who happen to share this birthday.
Oh, yeah. Okay, spill the tea. Who are we talking about?
Well, first up, we've got Martin Scorsese, the legendary filmmaker, born in 1942.
No way, Scorsese. I'm a huge fan. Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, The Departed. This guy's a genius.
No, absolutely. And then there's Danny DeVito, born 1944.
Danny DeVito. Love him. Twins. Throw Mama from the Train. Classic.
And let's not forget about Sophie Marceau, the incredible French actress.
La Boom, Braveheart. She's amazing.
And she was born on November 17th, 1966. It's crazy how this one date connects all these different people from different fields, different generations.
All right, I'm hooked. What else does November 17th have in store for us? I'm ready for more. Diving deeper into this, it's interesting how November 17th also pops up in Islamic history.
Oh, really? I didn't even think about that. What kind of stuff?
Well, for example, back in 1597, Abu al-Surur al-Siddiqui, he died on that date.
Okay, and who was he?
He was this Egyptian scholar, a Sufi mystic.
Sufi mystic. Okay, you're going to have to break that down for me.
Sure. Sufism, it's this mystical branch of Islam. It's all about like a direct personal experience of the divine.
I see. So how does this guy al-Siddiqui fit in?
Well, his writings, his teachings, they had a huge impact on Islamic thought, especially the spiritual side of things.
It's amazing how these figures, they might not be household names, but they really shaped how people thought, how they believed.
Totally. And speaking of influential figures, there's another Islamic scholar who died on that date, this time in 1967, Amjad al-Zahawi. He was Iraqi.
Okay, and what was his deal? What made him so important?
Well, he was known for his incredible knowledge of Islamic law, and he was really trying to find ways to bridge the gap, between the traditional teachings and the challenges of modern life.
So he was kind of a reformer, in a way.
Yeah, I think you could say that. His death was a big loss to the Islamic world.
It's crazy how one date can mark both the beginning and the end of these, really influential lives.
Yeah, it's like this cycle, isn't it? One generation passes, another rises.
And speaking of contributions, let's switch gears again. Let's talk about another pioneer, this time in the world of computers.
Ooh, okay, I'm intrigued. Who are we talking about?
Herman Hollerith. He died on November 17th, 1929.
Okay, and refresh my memory. Who was he again?
He was the guy behind the punch card tabulating machine.
Wait, those old school punch cards? Like the ones I've only ever seen in museums?
Those are the ones. They might seem totally ancient now, but back then, Hollerith's invention, it was revolutionary.
I can imagine. It allowed people to process data way faster, way more efficiently. And really, it laid the groundwork for everything we do with computers today.
It's wild to think about the journey, from those clunky punch cards to the sleek laptops and phones we use today.
And it's a good reminder, right, that big innovations, sometimes they come from the simplest ideas.
Okay, so we've covered ancient emperors, religious scholars, tech pioneers. What else does this November 17th have up its sleeve?
Well, on a bit of a lighter note, let's not forget about some of the modern-day legends who are connected to this date. Ferenc Puskás, the Hungarian footballer, the coach, amazing guy. He died on November 17th, 2006.
Puskás, oh yeah, I know that name. He was like a total goal-scoring machine, right?
That's an understatement. He's considered one of the greatest players of all time. His skills on the field, man, he was a global superstar.
It's so cool how this one date brings together people from such different worlds. Science, religion, sports.
And literature, too. On November 17, 2013, we lost two incredible women, Doris Lessing and Sid Field, both amazing writers.
I'm not familiar with their work. Tell me more.
Okay, so Doris Lessing, she was British, novelist, poet, playwright, the whole deal. She won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2007. Her stuff explored some really deep themes. Social justice, feminism, the complexities of relationships, all that.
Wow, a Nobel Prize winner. That's incredible. What about Sid Field?
She was American, a screenwriter, and a professor. She was known for her really insightful approach to storytelling and for being an amazing mentor. A lot of up-and-coming writers owe their success to her.
It's amazing how much impact one person can have.
Totally. And speaking of impact, remember back in 2019, the Saudi Aramco IPO?
Oh, yeah, the Aramco IPO. Wasn't that like one of the biggest IPOs in history?
That's the one. And guess when it happened?
No way. You're going to tell me it was November 17th.
November 17th. It's wild, right? This date just keeps popping up in the most unexpected places.
I know. Who would have thought that, the Saudi Aramco IPO would be connected to the invention of the transistor or the death of a Roman emperor? It's like there's this hidden thread running through history, all tied to this one day.
And that's what makes this deep dive so cool. It shows you how everything is connected, how seemingly random events can be linked by this one specific date. It's a tapestry, triumphs, tragedies, innovation, tradition, life, death. It's all woven in there.
You've definitely given me a whole new perspective on history.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So what else can we uncover about November 17th? What other surprises are waiting for us?
Let's find out. Hit me with some more of those hidden gems.
All right, you asked for some hidden gems, some unusual stuff.
Hit me with it.
Well, how about this? November 17th is Shogi Day in Japan.
Shogi Day. Okay, I have no idea what that is. Fill me in.
So shogi is like their version of chess, a traditional Japanese board game. It's got its own set of rules, its own strategies, the whole deal.
Cool, cool. So why November 17th?
Get this. The kanji characters for 11 and 17. They can also be read as good and move.
Oh, that's clever. Like good move in shogi.
Exactly.
I love it. So is this like a national holiday or something?
Not quite a national holiday, but people who play shogi, they definitely celebrate it. You'll see tournaments, special events, that kind of thing.
That's awesome. It makes you think, like, what other unique celebrations are happening around the world all on that same day?
Right. It's just a little glimpse into another culture, another way of marking time. And speaking of marking time, November 17th is also World Prematurity Day.
Oh, wow. That's an important one. You know, my cousin actually had a premature baby a few years ago. It was a really tough time.
It's a day to raise awareness, for those families, for those babies, and to push for better care, better support.
It's incredible how much this date covers. We've gone from ancient history to scientific discoveries to cultural celebrations, even global health initiatives. It's all connected to November 17th.
It really shows you the full spectrum of human experience, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does, but, we've got to acknowledge the fact that not everything associated with this date is, well, positive.
Yeah, it's true.
Earlier, we talked about the Luxor massacre back in '97. Were there any other tragedies that happened on this date?
Unfortunately, yes. In 2012, there was a train accident in Egypt near a place called Manfalut.
Oh, no.
It was awful. 50 school children died. And then just a year later, in 2013, a Boeing aircraft crashed while it was trying to land at Kazan Airport in Tatarstan. 50 people died in that one, too.
It's just heartbreaking. It's a reminder that even amidst all the celebrations and triumphs, tragedy can happen anytime, anywhere.
It makes you really appreciate every moment.
It does. So as we wrap up our deep dive into November 17th, what's the one big thing you hope people take away from all this?
Honestly, I think it's the interconnectedness of it all. It doesn't matter what culture you're from, what era you're looking at, what field you're interested in. It's all there, all mixed together. It's like this giant tapestry. And November 17th, it's just one thread, but it connects everything.
It's amazing. We've gone from Roman emperors to Sufi mystics, from the invention of the transistor to the first known COVID case, from celebrating shogi to remembering those who were lost in tragedies. It really makes you think about history in a whole new way.
That's what we were going for. And, it makes you wonder, what other dates are out there? What other stories are waiting to be discovered?
That's a challenge to everyone listening. Keep exploring, keep digging deeper, keep finding those amazing connections. That's what history is all about. And until next time, happy exploring.